Morning, everybody. It's the Eastern Shore Farmer. Trying to sound stupid like that Cole the Corn Star guy does. Oh my God. I cannot get past. I've tried to watch his videos probably at least 20 times, and I cannot get past his intro. It's the most irritating fucking intro I've ever heard in my life. And how he has 300,000 subscribers blows my mind. I mean, he buys a $100,000 corn seed, and he said it cost him $150,000. He hauls a load of beans. He said he probably made $8,000, but it cost him $10,000 to grow them. I don't know how he's ever in farming, because he just it seems like it costs him more to do it. I don't know how he buys everything he does. It must be YouTube. So I don't know. I've never in my life, but just thought I'd make a funny joke this morning, because that is the most irritating shit I've ever heard in my life. So anyway, good morning. Morning. Let's see here. Today we are going to put the rest of the cultures on the, these are the last rows we got right here. As you see how small they are and they're worn down. We'll put the new ones on. We already got the new ones on the rest of them. Got all them on. I got Brian, the John Deere guys, coming out to figure out where the short is in the planter. They keep blowing the fuses. That's the biggest pain in the butt, is that, finding the short. So, gonna get that done today. I'm gonna go check over everything that Hunter did yesterday, make sure he tightened all the bolts up, because I already found one that wasn't all the way tight. And do that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I am installing all the air shutoffs for the bean rows. You put these plastic stops in here, that way the bean rows don't get any air. And then you put these other stops in these two. I keep everything for the planter over here on these shelves. Seed discs, bearings. I got all my plates up in the bucket. Try to keep them flat. All the bean plates. These right here are the stops for the other pipes. Got the heater going this morning. And you just take that, try to figure out how to do it. So you take this, pull these boxes off, hoses off, and you put your stop here, panel into the turn line. And then you just go down each one, and then you do it all the way around. All the way around on the bean road when you're plant corn. Then when you're planting beans, you take them all off so you can get the seed and the airflow to everything. So, pretty simple. I know in the new 1775, they don't have any of these airlines like that. They don't have any of the, Brian was telling me they don't have any of the transmissions. They don't have any of the shafts, any of the, I guess either be the gear cables or something you would call them, to go in here to feed it. And which that's nice, because when one of these lines right here go up, them lines are very, very expensive. We found that out when we first got the planter. There were several bad, which Deere covered it. But then when, so you didn't really know the price. But when we had one of them that went up, and we had to get that price, they're hundreds of dollars for one little line. So they took all that cost off of there, so that is really nice. These things right here seem to be the main thing that goes up. If you do have one go up, they're probably $150 for that little simple thing. And I haven't had any go up in a while, but if something goes wrong, that's always the first thing you check. I guess the little gears, I've taken one apart, and the shaft here has, right inside here, you take it apart and it's got little plastic gears, and them little plastic gears strip, and then she'll jump and she won't be consistent. But we checked everything yesterday on the computer, did tests on everything, and everything seemed to function. So you never really know till you get seed in it. But everything passed as far as I know. So, well, I got all the bushings in the arms of the planter now. It takes 64 and they only gave me 62, so I'm 1 row short, but it was on a bean row, so I'll have to get them 2 and put it in. I'm going to strap the hoses up around the tongue. Strap the hoses up around the tongue. Got some big tie straps in here. Get these bad boys on there. Oh, by the way, we got a new toy, or Pop did. He's been wanting one for a long time, so we finally got it. It was a pretty good deal. It's a really good machine. He's been wanting one for cleaning up around woods and dipping ditches out and putting some new ditches in. So I'll have to show you what we got. Got a new. All right, here she is. Excavator. I think she's a 2012, something like that. 2013. She's a 160D. She's got a hell of an arm on her though. Nice grapple. That's what we wanted, was a grapple on there for picking up stuff and trees and stuff. We wanted a ditch thing. They welded a plate on here on the things. I guess that'll work for digging stuff up, but it's a hell of a plate. If not, we're gonna just cut the welds off, and that way we got the teeth, and then we got a guy that welds. We're gonna see if he can make something that bolts on there. But the way they weld her, she's strong. I think she'll still do what we want. But I mean, I figured they'd wash before they brought her, but they serviced her and everything. But she's a really nice machine. So give Pop something to do, clearing some trees out and some limbs because the combine can't fit in it. But she's got everything in her. So really, really nice. And she's not in bad shape at all. Undercarriage, everything looks good on her. Give her a wax job or something one day, but she's pretty nice. She's got a little dent right here. I think we can pop that out. But I mean, when you buy one of these used, it is what it is. But like I say, for a used machine, she's still in pretty good shape, especially for what we want her to do. I mean, we're not doing construction and all that crap. We're just gonna dip some ditches out and go around the woods and rip some limbs down that we can't reach with the loader. So anyway, I think she'll do what we intend her for. She's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Happy to have it because we got a lot of stuff we could do with it. Got a lot of overgrown trees and stuff that you can't do. We take the big loader and push it back, but she only reaches up so high, and them damn, on that 680, her doors fold open. And I wish we had a 12 row, but we don't. But with the 8 row, you just can't get close to the woods without hitting them doors. And I think Brian works for John Deere. He said they're like $3 grand a piece or something. So we're not trying to tear them doors up. So hell, by the time you spend 3, 6, 9, 12, there's 4 doors on there. That's like 10. I think the smaller doors are a little bit less, but that's still around 10 grand. I think he said if you had to replace them. So hell, that's a quarter of what we pay for that thing. So, and she'll do everything we need. So I got everything in her. This right here's the row where they didn't give me my new bushings. So I can just get 2 of them. But I'm gonna fold the bean units back up. I don't want to grease her yet on the bean units because, you know, we're not using her yet, and I don't want grease in there and then attracting dust while I'm planting corn. So I'll just wait till I fold them down. I'm not even gonna put the bean plates in her. She don't need it until we get the beans going. But the bean rows are all pretty much done. So I'll just fold them back up and concentrate. I got to put the grease fittings back in the corn rows, and I really got to adjust them up. Not that one. That one's rubbing pretty good. You just want them barely rubbing it. I think there was a couple of them now that I didn't get quite in enough. He was here, Brian was here yesterday when we fixed the tractor, and he went through them and, you know, was telling me, well, you need to tighten this one up a little bit more. And so that's what I got to do. Just go back and roll all the wheels and do a couple of them just a little bit closer. Most of them come out pretty good, but there's a couple of them that didn't. So just got to get them back in there just a fraction. But I'm going to tie these hoses up. You know, this thing right here swivels. So I got, on that side, I got it hanging up, but just kind of tie them together. Tie them together and kind of keep them up a little bit out of this swivel. So, but she's all hooked up and ready to go. There we go. Got them a little bit tighter together. I hung the other side up. I'm gonna try to pick these up, hang them up. There we go. I got these tied up. Kind of the way I want them. Got the camera. I always got a camera on everything, especially on the planter. Because if you see how tall it is, when you're going down the highway, you can't see anything behind you, cars coming by or anything. So I always put one up on the cab of the tractor. And then I always put one, got one back here behind her. So you can see what's going on down the highway. There she is. Got that camera there. Because without them, you're not seeing nothing. And, you know, granted, they cost, I don't know, $300-400 for the camera system, but it's way, way better than not having one and then somebody does something stupid and runs into you or, you know, just something dumb. And then you got to deal with that. I had a woman, we were bringing her 9610 back when we had her back from John Deere on Airport Road. And if anybody knows Airport Road around this area, you know, it's not very wide, but, you know, most time people give you some room. You know, I was coming down there and I had cars, you know, they were moving over, you know, when you're on that road, your wheels kind of hang on the yellow in the center. Maybe the dual will hang halfway over, but as cars are coming down, they had enough room to kind of get over. And we had one guy, an old guy, and his wife, they were in some old, I don't know, crappy Buick. And he rode that yellow line, and I was just about in the woods trying to get over. And his mirror hit the step. And so I stopped, he turned around, come back cussing me out, saying how farmers think they own the road. I should give him room. And you know, you try to explain to him, especially with an old guy. I was like, look, man, I'm way up in the woods over here. I've almost totaled this thing in the woods to get out of your way. You know, you couldn't even give me a little space. And he was like, fuck you, I'm not giving you anything. You farmers are always taking up the road. And by that time, I just knew that, you know, he's one of them guys you just want to punch in the face as hard as you can, but you control yourself. And by that time, I was just like, well, whatever, you know. So they called state police. So I sat there for as long as I could, and I had to get out of the way because I was holding up traffic. So I just came home, and then the state police tried to say I left the scene of an accident and all this other dumb shit with them. And then finally, I guess they thought better of it, and they didn't do anything. So we ended up paying for the guy's mirror. And it was the most expensive mirror I've ever seen on a piece of shit. It was like $1,300 or so. It was ridiculous. But you just pay it so you don't have problems. But it's almost worth it just to fucking fight it in a court of law, because I know a judge has got to say, you know, there's got to be some common sense somewhere. So, but there wasn't any with them. But he must not like farmers, and I don't know what he's got against them. But I mean, that was just like, you know, it's best just to shut up, because all you want to do is just beat them to death. So, but I've never seen shit like that, and I've never had a problem. As much as we run equipment through town and everywhere, I've never had a problem. And that was the one time I had a problem. And like I say, that guy, he was just looking for it, I think, is what it was. But it is what it is. That was years and years ago. But now everything with the camera, and now I just stop. If there's a car that ain't gonna give me no room, I just pull the fuck over as far as I can and stop. And if he hits me, then he hits me if I'm stopped. You know, it ain't the other way around. So I just stop now and just let him go. Hell with it. It's just, you know, some people are out there just trying to get you. And that's probably what one of them was. But I'm going to fold the things up. I got to blow all the boxes out, check the tank, put the corn plates in her. but I'm gonna wait till I pull her outside to do that. I got to put all the grease fittings. Like I say, I didn't put any of the grease fittings on yet. I'm gonna roll each one, check them out, and then go ahead and put all the grease fittings on everything and grease all the cornrows up. Like I said, we did all the tests on her yesterday. Everything seemed to be working. Check the chains. And then other than that, she's good other than when we get in the field, being as we got her hooked up to this tractor, we're gonna have to remeasure. I got the stuff for the 9200 hooked up to her all pre-measured, and I actually wrote it down just in case something happened. But with her, we're gonna have to pre-measure and just, you know, a lot of people don't want to get your John Deere guy down here to get going just because, you know, if it takes them 30 minutes, you know, whatever, it's $100 an hour. But to me, $100 is nothing if he's standing there and he can spot things wrong that I can't. And it takes him 2 seconds to fix it, where it takes me probably an hour because I might not see it, or I might not, you know, we have the farm equipment. I know how to work on 80% of it, but there's some of it that I don't know how to work on, you know, and that's what he's good for. But he'll catch stuff, you know, way quicker than I will. And I'll measure it and keep playing, and he can come right out here. He's done so many of them, he can measure it, set my on-off times for swap control, and, you know, we can get it right. So I got to change all my depth. I didn't even think about it, but, you know, where I switched the arms around where they were worn out for an inch or two, now I'm going to have to redo my depth because, you know, now I'm working with a flat piece of metal, so I'm going to have to change all the depth things. So that's another thing that we're going to have to do when we put seed in her, just check it out, tie up some of these. You know, we'll just tie up a couple of these and run so you can look in the trench and figure that out. But she is a nice planter. Like I said, I love the split row, and I love the way Deere, I know I said it before, but the way they fold down and fold up out of the way, oh man, them Kinseys and all them other things, you got to fight each row. These things, you just fold them up. I mean, it's the most convenient thing I've ever seen. So, now the problem I had with her where she kept blowing the fuses, I was talking about that, is inside of here. Here's your fuse that controls the box. She kept blowing it. Well, apparently the clutch, I guess I must have accidentally hit the button, and she's not set up for this switch for some reason. But I guess I had it on, and then she kept blowing the fuses because it wasn't supposed to be on. So, like I say, he come over here in 5 minutes and figured that out. So that's what I mean. You know, things I mean, I crawled all around the planter thinking it was a short, and it was something as simple as that. And you know, like I said, they do it all the time, so it's just easy for them. And I forget a lot. You know, this stuff gets put away, and then you pretty much go through a whole year before you pull it out. Same way with the sprayer and the monitors. You know, you kind of forget, you know, what you're looking at, and you kind of got to think about it a little bit, because you got to kind of recharge your memory of what you were doing the year before. So once you get back in the swing of it and everything, everything comes natural. But it's that 6-7 months that you just aren't doing it. You're not, you know, for 3 or 4 months you're steady touching them and doing everything you're supposed to do, and then the rest of the time you're not. So you just got to get back and swing things. But I think we got her now. So, but let's hope so. Anyway, I just can't wait for plant 2020 to start, because I am ready to get some corn in the ground. And like I say, I'm going to plant that 75-day corn early, and I'm going to put some 4-6 plenishes behind it, and I want to get this corn in. It's almost, what is it, April 29th or April, whatever the date is today. It's Sunday anyway. And so we've had some rain, which kind of puts us behind, but it's supposed to be 75 today, 78, something like that. So it's foggy outside. The fog moved away and then it came back. So I got about another day on this thing when I pull her out and just blow everything out, all the boxes, and put the seed plates in her. About a day's worth, and then she'll be totally ready to go. And it's just a matter of getting the ground ready, and hopefully the rain they're talking about. We were supposed to get a lot of rain Saturday, and it panned out to be nothing. I mean, they were talking about an inch or two or more. It was supposed to rain for, I don't know, it's supposed to start at 3 in the morning and rain till 8 o'clock at night. And we got one little shower around 8, lasted about 5 minutes, and the rest of the day was just kind of muggy. But that was it. That really saved us. And then they're talking about us getting some rain Wednesday. But if we can, get a couple days of drying weather, we might be able to, that farm I got where I'm going to put the 75-day corn, I think we can get in there and work it up, let it air out. And I want it to be planted by April 1st, that farm. There's some other ground, we got some sandy ground, of course, that warms up quicker. I want it to move right from there, take the 100-day corn and put it in there, because I think if we get it in them farms early, the 100-day corn back on it's like a 9-acre field we got. If I can get that in there early and get some good stand out of it, I think it'll really produce. But if you get it in there late and the corn doesn't get any height, and then we get the heat in June and July, it doesn't help it. It hurts it. I'd rather get the stand going now. We do have some cool mornings like in the 40s, but I think the corn will hold up to that. There's 3 or 4 fields that I want to try to get the early corn that I want to get planted early. Even if I run out of the 100-day, I got 111, and I'd like to do a couple sandy fields that I know are bad, and I think we can get a better stand out of them if I get them planted as quick as I can, as early as I can. The rest of the ground I'm not really worried about. I think that it'll make a good stand anyway. But I'd still like to put even 111, 114-day corn in. I'd like to get it in early. Once I start planting, I want to just keep on rolling. Because really, people around here start anywhere from April 15th to April 25th, somewhere around there. So really, I'm only going to be so many days ahead. But I think them so many days are crucial. And I think it's really going to help it. I think we got a guy, Kurtz down Public Landing Road. He plants his corn like right around April 5th. Every year he's got the prettiest corn. Now this year might be different. You never know. But I've been watching it, and it just seems like the earlier you can get it in, the better it's going to do. So before you get that heat wave in July with no rain, I think it'll help it. But what do I know? Everybody keeps telling me I'm wrong. But I think that we'll try it. I think it'll pay off. And we're not going to have too many early beans, but I like getting the beans. Last year we got the beans right when I got done corn. I started putting the early beans in, and they were the best beans we've had in a long time as far as the early season. They were the 4-8 Plenishes. And Plenish this year, Purdue, they paid 40 cents last year. This year they're bumping it up to 50 cents a bushel extra if you're playing them. And a bean doesn't really cost that much more than a regular bean, if any at all. But you get that 50-cent premium this year, and then if you sell them in January, February, March, you get 60-cent premium. And with the market the way it is, that really adds up. Big time. So, and like I said, right when I got done corn, switched planter when I was gone, planting early beans. And we had quite a few early beans last year. We're not going to have as many this year because we're going to put some more corn in. And I just think that the earlier you get the bean in, the better it does. For around here, I think we did 66 bushels, something like that, for the early beans. And that's pretty good around here on this sandy ground. And, they were really good beans. So I know we're not out west with the topsoil and 80. You hear about them guys getting 80, 90. I don't know what the hell they put on them. Maybe it's just the soil. But, that's, you get 80, 90 bushel beans, you're doing pretty good. But I know we did 66 on several of the early beans, and then we averaged right around 55 to 62 for the wheat beans, and they were Plenish 4.6s. So this year we're doing Plenish 4.2s. We're going to try them early and do the 4.6s again behind wheat because they did so well. But and then I'm going to put the 4.6s behind the corn that I'm planting in my house. I think everything will turn out. The only problem with the 4.8s is the vines, it took them so long to dry down. And the vines were still a little green when I cut. Of course, with the draper, it didn't matter because they rolled in there. And the moisture was pretty good on them, but it just took so long to cut. It took so long for them to get done. So that's why we switched up to try the 4.2s just to see if the vines would get done earlier. Hopefully if I can get them in the ground early, they yield just as good. But I don't know. We'll see. It's just one of them things you don't know. And if they do halfway decent, but they don't do as good as the 4.8s, and next year, we might go back to the 4.8s and try them, and put them back in the ground, means they did good. And just, I don't know, just have to wait a little bit longer. But the vines, that's the one thing about the 4.8s. The vines didn't quite, they seemed like they would never stop. They were green. They were dry, but they still had some green to them that you know, it seemed like it was a little difficult to cut them. Now the 4.6s, they dried down real nice. I mean, they were a perfect bean, so that's why we're trying to, I mean, who knows, we might just go to all 4.6s. I mean, they yielded good, especially after wheat. So I know they'll yield real good if I get them in a little early, but try the 4.2s, 4.6s after wheat, and then next year we'll see what happens this year and might just go all 4.6s. I don't know. They seem like a really good bean, and planting all Plenish, I mean, it makes sense to plant them. You know, I think that's one of the best decisions we actually did, was plant Plenish beans, the high oil beans. But you know, Purdue's got the market for it, so it's worth it to do it. But anyway, I hope you all enjoy the video. Tomorrow I'll have the planter out and unfold it and go over some things and stuff like that. So anyway, if you like it, subscribe. And if you don't, then I don't know what to tell you. Just give me a thumbs up. No thumbs down. I know who you are. So y'all have a good day.